Hey guys, welcome to the complete beginner's guide to Affinity. I'm Will Paterson, I'm a brand identity designer. I own a creative agency in the north of England and I teach graphic design to you on the internet. And today I'm really excited to show you everything about Affinity. So if you're brand new to graphic design and you just want to get started and learn how to do it, then this video is for you. And also if you're coming from a different software and you want to learn how Affinity works and how you can bring your workflow into Affinity, then this video is also for you. Okay, first of all, Affinity, what is it? The best way to explain it is Affinity is all of your creative apps in one. It's completely free, it's fast, and I've been using it in its beta stage for about 6 months, helping the guys over at Affinity with giving my recommendations and testing it out. And I've been using it for real client projects. It's seriously good. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go download it. There's a link in the description for you to go and download Affinity. It's completely free. When you download it and open it up, you'll get an intro page similar to this, where you have this box with all your recent files. You won't see these because these are my files that we'll go through today. You'll have recents, which is all the files that you've opened recently. You're learning, so if you wanted to download a few of these to play around with them, you can. You also have templates that you can make. I haven't made any yet. And some of your favorites. For instance, I could just go ahead and make this document my favorite if I wanted to. What I want you to do is go ahead and download the intro to Affinity and just open it up. When you do, you'll get this little box here, which will tell you a bit about the different things that are happening. Now we have our first file opened up. You'll probably think, this looks kind of familiar, but there's a few things going on. But let's say you wanted to open up a different file, one that is just completely blank. So go ahead to your dialog box here, click this green button, and you can choose or search. So let's say 1080, full high definition, 1080. Let's go landscape up here. We can make sure artboards are turned on or off, and we've got all of these different settings that we could go to here. And let's just press create document, and that will open up another document just as a tab system up here, so you can have multiple documents open at once. Okay, now notice when I flick through these different documents, we have a different kind of workspace every time we do it. The color up here goes away when I click over here, and we get a histogram, and we get a different toolbar. And when I click over here, we sort of get this pages thing here, the colors, the layers and everything. It all looks a bit different. Now, this is where the beauty of Affinity comes. It is all apps in one and more. Let me explain. The main thing to understand about Affinity is that it has all apps in one, and they call them studios. Up here at the top, we have these buttons that we can press. And when we press them from vector to layout to pixel, it will change the workspace around. It won't just change the workspace, it will change even the shapes over here, the toolbar. And the vector, it will add more tools to the toolbar. The way that Affinity works is that it's one app, but you get to decide what's in front of you at one time. So we have vector, layout, and pixels. These are called studios. Now, if I click these 3 boxes over here on the right, you'll notice that we have vector, layout, and pixel, and they're all turned on. If we go down here and press slice, Canva Ai, retouching, color grading, you'll notice that these get added to the top here, and we can flick through these as we like. So we have even more. For color grading, we even have an intensity waveform up here. What it's doing is that it's essentially changing some of your shortcuts, your toolbars, what's being shown in your windows to make it easier for you to work in that one section. Now you might be thinking, can I work on something like this at the same time as working on the type? Yes. You can work on 2 things at once. The way that Affinity works is that we can actually take this poster and this layout and do it in one app. So if I wanted to, I don't know, do some retouching of this vector, I could go ahead and go to vector, and I can add some shapes in here if I wanted to and go wild with this. But when I want to add some texture to this, I could go to the Pixel Studio, and in here I could add a brush, then clip it over the top, and there we go. We've got another shape there in our layers panel. Now, although we have all these studios up at the top, that doesn't mean you're just stuck with these studios. You can actually move these studios around and edit them, but you can also create your own studio. So I'm going to get rid of a few of these different studios that I don't need. Let's get rid of Canva Ai, Slice and all that. And let's go ahead and create our own studio. This is where Affinity gets powerful because you can create your own studio for whatever reason. So for me, I could just write Will Studio. Here, I could add an icon if I wanted to of my own. So I could do this, I could take this icon here, I could change the color. Let's do a nice brand color. And I can clone this studio that I'm making from one that we already have. So let's go to Vector. And I'm going to clone this and we can add a studio description and press create. And up here, we'll have our own studio like so. Now that's all well and good, but it is literally just like the Vector Studio really when we think about it. So let me just bring this up here and bring it next to Vector, just like so. It literally looks the same. The other part of studios is the ability to configure your whole workspace. You can configure everything. If I right click at the top here, we can customize this toolbar and it'll bring up this box here where we literally have every tool that we could think of that is at the top bar. So even though we're in like a vector, drawing kind of workspace, I could just bring in auto white balance and add it up here. And I could take away, let's take away these Boolean options, get rid of them by dragging them out. And let's put depth map up here. Maybe I want to move this space bar to here. Maybe I want to just get rid of that space bar and add in some advanced views like so. At the bottom, we always have our default bar that we can just add to the top if we want to. But then when we're done, we just press done and we have our new toolbar. Now, the crazy thing is this doesn't just work for the toolbar. This actually works for this bar here too. All we do is we get these 3 buttons above the color picker. Press that and it's the same again. So let's search for the pen tool. We can search for it. Pens, we can see the pencil here. It's already in place somewhere, so it's not going to let me put it in there. But if we just reset the tools like so and get rid of this, we can go for a little bit of a search. Let's say I want the dodge brush tool in here. I can just drag that in, drag it anywhere that I like. Let's say I want some AI tools in here too. So generative expand tool, I'm going to actually add that in to my toolbar down here, but I don't need my measurement tool. Super resolution, that might come in useful as well. And I'm going to create a little separated there just so we have a bit of a differentiation there. What about the windows to the right? Well, we've got the same thing. We can drag these windows out like the swatches here and drag them back in. This isn't anything new, but we can move things around and keep things where we want them. So everything in Affinity can be moved around. So as you're working in Affinity, just keep in mind that you can put your favorite tools in one space that you use, and you could call that your own space, your own studio. Now, if I go back to Vector, everything goes back to the Vector side, but if I go to Will Studio, even my layers panel is come up, my paint brushes I can bring up here and move everywhere, and it keeps the same document. You're not having to open up different apps. Okay, let's go to this blank page here. And I'm going to actually get rid of Will Studio because I don't need it anymore. Something that I do is create logo types, and it's a very specialized field in graphic design because you're not using fonts. And right now, with the world the way it is, everyone's using fonts, AI is replacing everyone, and designers are struggling to find jobs. And the reason why is because we're not specializing in a certain area of design. We're all just kind of generalized. That's why about a year ago, I created a masterclass over at Design Academy called Logo Launch, and it is to master bespoke logotype design. For years, I've been creating logotypes for clients, and it's been the #1 most profitable thing I do because not everyone can create logotypes, and it takes a while to learn. However, this masterclass kind of speeds you through that. It shows you everything, all the mistakes that I made, the mistakes you shouldn't make, and how to go from a sketch to vector, how to professionally vectorize your work. We teach you how to present the work, how to craft the presentation, and the techniques in what to say during a presentation for your logo or brand identity work to get that yes from a client. Honestly, the course has been one that I've wanted to make for so long, and I'm so glad it's out there. So if you'd like to go and get 20% off, click that link down below. Don't miss out because this course really can take you to the next level and to get you higher paid gigs. Now that we know a bit more about the studios in Affinity, let's go ahead and learn how to actually use it. Let's say we wanted to create a shape. Well, here in the Vector Studio, I'm just going to go to this square or rectangle tool and I'm going to drag it out. And you'll notice that it will just go anywhere we like. And if we let go, you get a shape. And if I click again, you'll get another shape and another. Now, what we don't want to do is create just a rectangle. We actually want to create a full proper square. And we can do that by holding shift, and that constrains the aspect ratio just like so, just like every other app. Now, when you're done and you want to select it and move it, go up to the selection tool here or press V. It's called the move tool. And just like that, you can just move your shape around and notice how fast it is. It is insanely quick and responsive. Now, let's say we want to get the shape into the middle of the canvas here. Well, the easiest way to do that is to select it and go up here, and we have our align features. If you don't see this, it's probably because you're in a different studio, so you probably won't see it up here. But if you go to the vector studio, you'll see it. And if you don't see it, you can always right click, go to customize toolbar, and just bring in your alignment options, and you've got them there. Now, when we press this, it will center it to the horizontal and vertical axis in the middle here. But let's say we wanted to create some different versions of this green square. Well, the easiest way is to duplicate it. And we can do that a few different ways. We can hold Alt or Option whilst we're selecting on it, and it will duplicate. We can even hold Control or Command. When we hold Command, it will just duplicate it out whilst dragging. That is going to keep going for as long as I click and release. But another way of duplicating it is by pressing Enter. When you press Enter, you get the Move and Duplicate tool. And what we can do is something pretty cool. We can actually increase the horizontal distance. Let's go something wild like this. And let's go to scale. Let's bring that down quite a bit. Let's go to like 20 on the scale. But notice we have this duplicate button. We can actually duplicate this, and we can create a number of copies as well that will just feature this all the way around. When we press OK, you'll notice that it has duplicated it all, and you can do some pretty crazy things with this. For instance, if we create just a line with the pencil here and duplicate it like 100, and we can get that scale down to 50, and we can duplicate it like so, and it'll just do some crazy wild things. And we can just create a duplication just like that whilst it's scaling down. Pretty neat feature. Now, you might be wondering what vector is. What's the difference between vector and pixel? Well, vector is different because if I bring out a shape like this, and if I go to my pixel persona and pull up a shape like this, vector shapes use mathematics. When I use the pencil and create a bunch of dots like this, you'll notice that it's creating a shape based on where the dots are and where I curve this shape to be. So it creates this cool, weird shape, right? But if it's in pixels, which is normal for bitmap, so let's say just a random image, let's just bring a random QR code image like so. If I zoom into this, you'll start to notice that it gets less sharp and you get these weird lines and it just looks pixelated. Now in Affinity, you have two buttons at the top. We have vector mode and pixel mode. When we look at it in pixel mode, it's taking our document size, which in this case is 1920 by 1080, and it's calculating your viewport to see those pixels. So you notice here, you can start to see pixels. These individual boxes are pixels. If I press this vector mode, it will change it so what we're viewing is in vector. Now, if we export this as an image, just as a JPEG or something, you'll see it in pixel mode. So that's how vector is different than pixels. Let's say you've got another document you want to open up. Up here, click the A, and this will bring you to the home page of everything else. I can go into this one here, which is a bunch of posters in A4. Notice that these have all got different artboards like so, and I can just go around them and make different edits to them as much as I like. The way to create an artboard is over here, and you can actually create them by just pressing up on any of these buttons to duplicate them, or you can create your own by dragging. And this is basically just canvases that you can use within your work. And the great thing is, in Affinity, you can actually change the color of your canvas too, or your artboard, which makes life a lot easier when designing. Now, this effect here is called a live effect. Affinity is so great and modern that you can actually apply live effects to your work. If I go into my layers over here, you'll notice that on the actual layer here, where it says P and then off, if I double click this, we can actually change this and you can see it changing as we go. And even when I move this, you can see how the algorithm of how it works, this effect is just working flawlessly. One thing I love about Affinity is some of the AI tools. I don't really do generative AI personally. They do have that in here in the Canva AI tab, But what I do like is the remove background or select subject. So up here in the Canva AI Studio, you can find the remove background, or if you're like me, you probably want that in your toolbar. So I'm actually going to go and bring it into my custom toolbar up here for remove background, which is just down here, and I'm just going to add it up just there so I have it for later for what I want to use it for. Press this and instantly with Canva AI, it will remove the background. It does take a minute, but it does a really good job with it. So you can see there, it's done a pretty decent job. In fact, a very good job at getting rid of that background for me as well, which I'm really happy about. Now, Canva AI is in Affinity Studio and it is a big part of it, and you don't have to use it. Let me explain. There's a few selection and machine learning models that you can download. If you go to preferences by pressing Command comma, you can go to machine learning models here, and you can install each of these like segmentation, depth estimation, colorization, and super resolution. These are all local. Now, the ones that you don't download are on the Canva AI side, which is the remove background and everything else. If I click here, you can see all of the different ones: detect normals, portrait lighting, portrait blur, colorize, super resolve, select subject, and all that. I love the select subject AIs. I love the remove backgrounds. It just takes no time at all to get into really what I want to do. I don't want to be fiddling around with selections and things like that. But one of the coolest features that will blow your mind is the live effects. Now, if I click this and we go to the layers panel here, underneath it will look familiar to other apps that you've used. We have the effects panel, which is kind of like your blend modes and everything. You've got your bevel, outline, gradients. This looks quite familiar, and it's the same really from version 2 of Affinity. Here we've got our mask layer, but here we've got filters. Now these filters are really cool. There's a lot of them, as you can see, and even going off the edge of my screen recording. Now there's one filter that's really cool called glitch that I like, and you'll notice you'll get this little box that pops up when you get a filter, and you think nothing's happened. But if I just go to this one here, which I think is called Shred, and if I just do a horizontal strength, you can see here that it's just doing it live. I can go to Ripple, and it's doing it completely live. And I can also kind of use my own picture. I can just put my cursor onto me and change this effect as well. Distort is a fun one. But this is all happening live, and it's really fast. It's actually insane how good it is. And the cool thing about when you've done that is Affinity has a lot of non-destructive ways of editing. You can see here, this is the live glitch effect. It remains in the layer. And something I can also do is mask this layer as well. And I can go to my brushes panel, pick a soft brown brush if I wanted to, add a mask to that Gaussian blur, and essentially cut out any part of me here. And I can still go in and click the Gaussian blur icon and change its amount. And you see how fast that's going. It's incredible. Now, a few settings that you should know about that I would recommend you change. If you press Command comma again and go to the settings, I would go down to tools and marquee selection behavior. I would have it set to touch selective objects when marquee touches them. So what this allows you to do is when you select an object, let's say this and this, you can just do a marquee, and when it touches, that sort of selection touches those objects, it will select them. I also like to have the tool handle size to large, and that way when we're using the pen tool, we get large nodes that we can see. And we can see things a lot easier, and it just gives us a better time. Now with all of these posters here, they're actually done within a layout, and Affinity is really good at layout. If we go to the layout studio here, we get our pages like you'll normally see. We can click on them. We can apply master pages as well. In fact, I'll take you to a brand guidelines document here for a recent client project. We'll go to layout and we can scroll all the way up and we'll go to the first document here. In Affinity Studio, we can have master pages like this, and this is for Crezi. 2 master pages, dark and light, and we can apply them, dragging and placing it in, or right clicking and adding them in. The one thing that these guidelines that I've been working on and these posters here have got in common is that we use a grid system, and Affinity has got a really robust grid system going on. If we go back to the Vector Studio, you'll notice there's a button here, and this is called the preview button or toggle preview mode. When you have it selected, it will show you the live as to what it will look like in the end. When you unselect it, it shows you the grids and everything, but how do we create grids in Affinity? But we go to view and we go to guides and we get this really cool guide box show up. So let's say in this one, I want to create a modular grid. Well, I can choose an outlined or filled style. We'll just choose filled for now. And as I bring these columns out, you'll notice that they're filled in right now. And this is how quick it is. You literally just input however you want. So 8, we can do 4, and then we can change our margins, clicking in like so. And I prefer to have an outlined look, and I can choose the color for that. Let's choose a black. Choose 4 and 8 instead. That doesn't look good. 8 and 4. Change the gutter values here. 6 and 4 works as well. And we can press close. And then what this means is that we can actually design on top of this, whether that's shapes or anything else. And in pressing this button or creating a shortcut, which you can easily do again in the settings area, you just go down to shortcuts and you can apply any shortcut that you want to literally anything that you can think of. You can have it on or off. And because we're in the layout section, we actually have frames as well. So we can actually frame our work like this, and we can just drag in an image from anywhere and bring it in, and it will be part of that picture frame. And this works really well when we're trying to create picture frames like so in a grid. I think will confuse a lot of people when they come into Affinity and start using it is the typography, because it's slightly different, but it's more intuitive. In fact, if I just go to the layout option here, we have a few different type tools here. If I press T and I keep pressing T, what Affinity does is it cycles through a set of tools that you've got here, like this. It's going from the frame text tool all the way to the artistic text tool to the table tool. Now, the artistic text tool allows you to create typography and just drag out a certain size, and it will start with the letter A. You can drag it out and say, there you go, there's your type. And that's the artistic text tool. And you can just like bring that up and down, scale it and manipulate it however you want up and down. The frame text tool allows you to bring out text boxes, and when you right click, you can insert filler text just like so, and you can move it around and do some crazy things with it. And obviously the table tool allows you to bring out a table, and you can do this. Pretty simple. So to round out this video and to show you a real life preview of something you can do, let's create a poster. I'm going to create a new document by going up to the A. When you press the logo of Affinity, it'll take you to the main menu. We're going to go press this button over here. We're going to make sure it's oriented portrait. And I'm going to say I want to add artboards, and I'm going to keep it in RGB for now. Now I can double click this artboard and say poster 1. And the first thing I want to do is just create a standard grid like we did before. I'm going to press close, and just like that, we have got our modular grid. Now I want to lay things out. So I think I want the title to be up here. So I'm going to put a little box up here. And remember, I've got my snapping on, and I'm going to go into more detail in videos about these snapping options because you can do a lot within this. And then I think I want an image down here. So again, I'm just going to copy this down, and I'm going to, I think, put the image around here. I'm going to right click this shape, and I'm going to go and convert it to a picture frame and just get rid of the fill and the stroke on it as well. And the picture frame just allows us to input any random picture we like. I'm just going to drag in this image, and I like that a lot. That looks cool. As for the color of the background, I don't need to create a new layer. I can just click on the artboard name, which selects it. I can go to the color picker here, and let's choose like a warm off-white. Now for the title, I'm simply going to go to my artistic text tool, and I'm going to say create. And down here, I'm going to say something, because I think that looks cool. Get it in line with these grids, move these down. And I can even move this text frame, picture frame down if I want to a little bit. For this picture, I'm actually going to go very heavy on the effects on this. And I'm going to type in, give it a field blur. And I'm going to create multiple points. I'm going to give it some more effects as well. A little bit of a ripple going on. That looks cool. For the text, I'm going to go ahead and choose the trusty Newhouse Grotesque. Go up to medium. Bring up my grids again by going up to this part here. Scale this down a little bit. And in breaking the grid, I'm going to bring this down ever so slightly again. And I'm going to go to the pencil tool here. So I'm going to go to the Vector Studio and just bring out the pencil tool and do a crazy line kind of blob thing. Choose a color. And in the layers, just bring that backwards a little bit. Something I want to do is add a paper background to all of this. So I'm going to bring my paper background and send it to the back of everything. Now the problem is I don't want it to look just too papery. I want it to be at the kind of beginning of everything. So I'm going to go to this little cogwheel here, and in the blend options, I'm going to bring these down a little bit. So that way, when we zoom in, you can see we're still getting some texture in there. And this is doing it completely live as well. That'll do. Then I'm going to lock that layer so I can't mess around with it too much. Type an example, put it up here. Change the weight of that to Roman. I feel like it's missing something over on this right-hand side, and it's a pretty wild looking poster. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't look really cool just yet. So I'm going to change this to bold, and I need something over here to counterbalance it. So I'm going to go to my shapes and hold this down, and we're going to go into like this square tool, bring that out. And the cool thing about these shapes in Affinity is if we double click them or go to our node tool, we can actually live change them. It's pretty wild. Or when we're drawing them out, we can use arrow tools to increase them like so, or we can change the amount of sides that it has up here to. So we can go to more sides. We can do the cutout like this. I think that's pretty cool too. Let's bring these behind the thing there. And for something in here, just to give it a little bit less of a box look, I'm going to go into the filters here, go to twirl, increase that radius all the way up, and I can just click and drag wherever I want. I'll do it this way, in fact. And this is the benefit of live editing. It's pretty wild. Change the blur mode to something like negative contrast or something. So when it goes on top of it, it goes a bit crazy. And boom, we have like this crazy poster with some crazy effects that would normally take quite a while to create. So guys, that is Affinity. You have studios. It's a free app. Go and download it if you haven't already. And if you want to see more content surrounding Affinity, I'm going to be doing more videos showing you the best tips, how to use it, how to be proficient in it. So subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you soon.